Good morning. This is Heather Adkins, and this is my presentation on motivating students to learn. What is motivation? Motivation is defined as an internal process that activates, guides, and maintains behavior over time. Two types of motivation. Intrinsic motivation refers to a behavior that is driven by internal rewards. This, for instance, is the student's favorite class. The student likes the material and does their best in the class because it's their favorite. The motivation for these students is within. So this is kind of self-motivation. Extrinsic motivation refers to an external reward that helps motivate the students to do better. These are pretty self-explanatory. You get these every day if you're in class or something. The examples are grades, praise, awards, candy, scholarships, etc. Anything that you can give your students is an extrinsic motivator. How to use motivation. Every student is different. You will have different situations to use the two types of motivation that I just talked about. Learn how your students are motivated. I will say this throughout the whole presentation. The main thing you have to do is to know your students. Everyone is different. So every type of motivation, every type of student is going to be different. How to motivate a student who uses intrinsic motivation. These students are self-motivated. You have to have a good, trustworthy relationship with these students. In other words, they must trust and value your opinion and feedback. So, if your students just know you as the teacher, they're not going to come to you for anything, really. I mean, they're not going to come if they have a problem. They're not going to come if they need feedback on anything. Make sure to reflect the lesson at the end of the class. This just helps the student go back through the lesson. It helps them remember, hey, I really like that. This was really interesting, and it keeps them motivated to keep learning more. Schedule brainstorming lessons. Let the students get into groups and brainstorm over the lesson at hand. The group should be mixed abilities, and it will benefit all the students. So when the students that are really good at the subject or really enjoy it get in a group with students that they don't really care, they'll more than likely motivate the other students to really enjoy it because they'll give them another way to look at it, another opinion about how the subject is supposed to be learned. How to motivate a student with extrinsic motivation. These students are motivated by external rewards. Reward the students with stickers, awards, candy, etc. It's going to depend on how old the student is. If you've got little elementary students, stickers and things like that will really help. But, high school student, a sticker is just going to be, going to put it on my friend over here. So you got to know your students. They also consider grades a form of reward. They work towards an A on the test. When is it time to motivate? When students don't seem to be doing what you feel they can, you have to motivate them to do their best. Here again, you have to know your students. So you have to know if they're really giving you 100 or if they're just giving you what they can just because that's easy. When a student is discouraged because they're falling behind in classes, you can't let your students just give up. You have to keep encouraging them and you have to keep motivating them to move forward and to do better. Everyone is worth it. You use motivation techniques when the students are settling for good enough instead of the best that they can do, which there again, you have to know whether or not your student is settling, whether he's doing his best or just half of what he can do. Encourage the students to do better than what they did the day before. This is a big motto of mine. I have to be better today than I was yesterday. I have to learn something today that I didn't know yesterday. It's a big thing of mine. And motivate your class every day. Every day you have to use some tool of motivation to help your students to get them to going. I mean, everybody needs their coffee in the morning. So these students, they're going to need some type of motivation to get started every day. Motivation techniques. Most important thing when motivating your students is to know them on a personal level. If you do not know your students, you do not know what motivates them to be better. Said it throughout the whole presentation, you have to know your students personally. Be honest with your students so they will trust and respect you. Use praise to motivate your students. Encourage them that they are going to succeed. You can't just tell them, okay, well, whatever, quit. No, you have to tell them you are going to do this and we're going to do it together. We're going to make an A on this exam. Encouragement and caring are not always nice. Tough love may be an option for some students. You have to know your students. You have to know if this is going to help or make it worse. I mean, I listen to coaches all the time, and they're not screaming at these girls how pretty they are. They're telling them what they need to be working on and where they need to be going. And it doesn't always come with flowers and sunshine. It can come in a harsh way. But a lot of the times this gets through to the students that you really care and you want them to better yourself. Keep the students active and engaged. Keep them moving. Keep them working. Allow for creativity and variety. So let them think outside the box. Even though it's not really in your criteria, if you see something that the student has done that's really exceptional, you need to let them know. Feedback is important. Get out of the classroom. This motivates anybody. When you're sleepy, get up and start walking. So with the classes, get outside. If you're learning biology, go outside and learn about the trees. If it's a beautiful day, just get outside and do your classroom work outside. It's not hard. Start the day off with fun, such as a fun song, video, inspirational quote, something that just gives the kids a smile. This is the same like I was saying with coffee, caffeine. You got to get your day started in a good way. If you get it started in a bad way, you're more than likely going to have a bad attitude and a bad day. So if the kids come in and they see something funny or you got a really peppy song going, it might start their day off a little bit better than what they were. Share their accomplishments. This is another thing where you have to know your students. You have to know whether or not this is going to boost them or make them embarrassed. You can't just assume that sharing their accomplishments with the whole class is going to encourage them to continue to do more. It may discourage them because they do not want to be embarrassed in front of class. So there again, you have to know your students. Get involved with the students. Show them you're a real person and not the teacher that they see every day. These kids, they come into school and that's all they see you. So if you get involved with any sort of club, after school activity, these kids will get to know you on a personal basis and it'll improve your relationship with them. In conclusion, the main thing is to get involved with your students. Try to know them personally. They're not just a desk that you're preaching at every day. Everyone is different and unique in their own way. So their motivations will be different and unique as well. All students are worth getting excited and worrying about. It may seem overwhelming to try to learn about 60 plus students' lives, but it is worth it. Try to change a life today. This is Heather Adkins, and this has been my presentation on motivating students to learn.